Hello, everybody. Welcome. This podcast is Indivisible with Jessica Watkins. That's me. Um, I have been advertising this podcast for about 3 weeks on X, and finally, I have been able to sit down and actually create it. Um, Let me introduce myself to those who don't know me. My name is Jessica Watkins. I'm political prisoner 260-50509. I just did 4 years in prison for crimes that were vacated by the Supreme Court in the Fisher ruling. I did 4 years out of an 8.5-year term for my involvement in events at the January 6th protest. And I'm eternally grateful to President Trump for setting me free. My sentence was not, I was not pardoned. There are 14 of us who, to this day, are still awaiting our sentences to be overturned. We are in the appeals process, and my sentence has been fully commuted. But as it stands right now, I still have no rights. I have no voting rights, no 2A rights. That goes for the other Oath Keeper defendants and Proud Boy defendants as well. We're still holding out for those pardons. We're very, well, not even pardons. I'm hoping to have my entire case thrown out in appeals, but I'll get to that later. I am a Afghanistan veteran. I fought in Afghanistan in 2002. I was also in the fire department. I was a firefighter, EMT, rescue technician. That's what ultimately led me to the Capitol building that day. And those who have been following me for some time will know I've talked about this kind of at length. That's why I joined the Oath Keepers in the first place. I was a very passionate medic, and so I used those skills in protests and riots, including Black Lives Matter protests. I even rescued 12 Black Lives Matter protesters, not rioters, protesters, who were injured that day. I did the same thing at the Capitol on January 6th. I rescued 2 injured Trump supporters. This is what I do. And so I think that is kind of what motivated me to do this podcast and why I named it Indivisible. It is part of our Pledge of Allegiance, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I've seen a dramatic shift away from that. We are a very divided country. Everything is divided by, race, by gender, by ideology, by religion, vax, anti-vax. It doesn't matter what the category is. We're very divided. On X, I've been having conversations with people, left and right, and finding that having that open dialogue to see and hear your perceptions and then to challenge them. People are more receptive to that than you would believe. The echo chamber is real. People ingest a narrative and then they'll regurgitate it as if it were their own, as if they were being original. I'm tired of that. That echo chamber is what's dividing us. And the name of this podcast is Indivisible, which means I'm going to be reaching out to people on the left and the right. And we'll likely have guests that are on the left and the right. I think the dialogue, we need to return to those times when we had that dialogue. And so that's kind of the motivation where I'm going to actually be taking this podcast. I'm going to be looking for the common ground. Sure, I could attack the left all day long. I am unashamed conservative. I'm very, very much a MAGA conservative. I don't consider myself a Republican. If I had to be honest, I probably lean more libertarian than anything. But I think at the end of the day, my politics align with the right very much. So, but at the end of the day, I hear a lot of this division coming from within our own ranks. And the left, of course, does it too. They'll name call us. They like to call us insurrectionist or seditionist or anti-vaxxer or, election denier, whatever the title is of the week. That division goes both ways. The right, they like to find trans people and misgender them and be cruel, like calling them freaks and so forth. And it's just not nice. I'm a believer in the golden rule. So I encourage my fellow conservatives. Well, you might not like it. These people have made a decision. You say all the time, okay, if they're 18, they could do whatever they want, but then you immediately go on the attack. I'm tired of all the back and forth. They call us a fascist. We call them Marxists. And it doesn't mean that there aren't those Marxist leanings. Of course, our education system pushes that. I mean, it's a serious problem. These Marxist professors that are avowedly and openly Marxist have infiltrated our education system and have imparted those ideals to these kids. But a lot of these people that we call a Marxist, they're not. They're just somebody who's regurgitating their echo chamber, just like we do on our side, right? So that's not what this podcast is. I don't want to perpetuate that. You can find that anywhere if that's what you're looking for. Wrong podcast, next one. If you want to hear a Jay Sixer who actually has solutions, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about immigration reform. I think left and right, I think we can all agree our immigration system is garbage. It's completely trash, right? The open border situation, that's untenable. We can't allow that. If, anybody can be American, then nobody is an American. And so I'm a believer in people that if you want to come to our country, then I want you to come to our country. If you want to be my neighbor, I want you to be my neighbor. So we can fix our immigration system. That's something conservatives can actually meet in the middle. Like, okay, we need to stop illegal immigration, but we definitely have a problem with our immigration system, which is honestly what drives a lot of the leftists who want this open border. A lot of them genuinely, you have to understand, in their heart, they actually genuinely care about these people. Their echo chamber is telling them, no, they're sweet families that are crossing with children, and they believe it. Okay. So that's one topic I think we can all meet in the middle on. Another topic like that is prison reform. We need to do that. I'm very passionate about prison reform. Having spent 4 years myself behind bars, I've seen the atrocities. It's not just a J6 issue. Sure, our experiences there have opened our eyes. But now we're at a point where, man, this has been going on for a long time, decades. People have been mistreated by the system, medical neglect. There's this person who's dear, sweet person to me, Miss Virginia. She was having a legitimate stroke. And they told her to go buy milk of magnesia on commissary and come back next week for a stroke. That's a thing. And then Monday morning she came back and guess what? Still having a stroke. Maybe we should call you an ambulance. And so that's what happened. So this kind of thing, I think conservatives and liberals together, they're both like, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound great to me. These issues we can come to the middle on. Indivisible is about that. It's about commonality. Where can we actually make reforms in our country that we can enact? Indivisible is also going to be about having those open dialogues on those kind of topics. That's about it on that. I want to wish everybody happy St. Paddy's Day. I am sober, but my Irish heart beats for potato. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Some of the other issues we're going to be discussing, we're going to be discussing, obviously, politics. I don't want to get into conspiracy theories. You can find that in any number of sites. I don't do Q. I don't do, JFK stuff. I'm not saying that those aren't possibly true. I mean, certainly all of you will likely bombard me with evidence to say, but that's not going to be the focus of this. I am going to be talking about politics and culture, any kind of current events. I'm going to be discussing those in great detail. Probably going to be discussing the media. They like to attack us, right? They dragged our names through the mud, and they're never going to be done doing that so long as it's gaining them views, which translates into advertising revenue. So they're going to keep perpetuating that, and I'm going to keep putting them on blast for it. So that's going to be fun. uh, where I'm going to be talking about January 6th. Anything I share with you pertaining to January 6th is going to be from public sources. Uh, President Trump is my co-defendant on a case that has yet to be dismissed. I'll talk on some of that here in a bit. But so long as that case is currently ongoing, all of my discovery and evidence is under seal. So therefore, I can't actually release it. So everything that I'm going to show you, all the videos and things are going to be from public sources, but I've got a lot to say on the topic. Obviously, being a January 6er myself, I saw a lot. And so I'm going to be talking about those issues, especially as it pertains to our trial. Our trial was a complete nightmare. They committed perjury. They fabricated evidence. They falsified testimony. They threatened witnesses. They tried to rig our jury. So I'm going to be talking about trial a lot. Speaking of rigging our jury, I'm also going to be talking about the January 6th Select Committee. They held an emergency hearing at the opening days of our trial in an attempt to taint our jury. They called me out by name. They called Stuart Rhodes out by name. They called Kelly Meggs and Kenneth Harrelson. They called these people out by name, myself included, in the opening days of our trial in an attempt to rig our trial. It wasn't a scheduled hearing. It's just, oh man, the Oath Keepers are going to trial. We need to have a hearing. So I'm going to be covering a lot of what they did. And I'm going to try to keep it light the whole way too. I am a prankster and a jokester, so I like to laugh. And so, I'm going to be cracking a lot of jokes. So get used to that. Let's see. News for today. One good, interesting piece of news is my case, one of the lawsuits held against the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys. We were being sued by Capitol Police for crimes we did not commit. They were being sued for injuries to police officers when the Oath Keepers never injured any police officers. In fact, all the police officers I came into contact with on Capitol grounds were actually Capitol police officers. So it's kind of senseless to be sued for what Metropolitan police officers went through because we never saw any. The case says the Washington, D.C. Attorney General's office has dropped its lawsuit against the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers over January 6, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol. In a court filing, the Attorney General's office said the city was unlikely to be able to find enough money to justify continuing the case against the conservative groups. Two reasons this is interesting. I guess D.C. is going broke. And it's probably very expensive to run this silly, frivolous lawsuit. And then the other thing is they called us a conservative group, not like far left or far right extremist or domestic terrorist or what's another one they like to use? Seditionist. Yeah, they like those. The seditionist group or the anti-government far right extremists or whatever the catchphrases are. They've got 1,000 of them for us, which is silly. Anti-government. We literally work with law enforcement and National Guard, fire department, whatever. But anyway, I digress. So I thought this was kind of an interesting case or the way that decided to bring it up. So anyway, that's really good news. I'm very excited about it. So this is one of two lawsuits that I was on. The other one is the one I told you about where I'm on with President Trump. That one is just completely insane. That's the one I figured was going to go away faster than this one. But I digress. It's good that this case has gone away. Hopefully the other one goes away soon, so that way I actually can release stuff, because then my discovery will no longer be under seal. All right. In other news beyond that, the president had a very interesting tweet concerning the pardons concerning the January 6th Select Committee. So President Trump's tweet read as follows: the pardons that Sleepy Joe Biden gave to the Unselect Committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by AutoPen. Pause. This AutoPen idea is very interesting. I'm hoping it's not like a conspiracy theory thing. I hope it's something that the president's team has actually looked into and verified before this statement came out. But I'll be very excited to see if this is true, because this changes things. It's proof, not just that um, Joe Biden wasn't signing things, but it's proof that there were people orchestrating things behind the scene, um, and doing things under Joe Biden's name when he himself was not even aware, which is what the president continues to say here. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them. The necessary pardoning documents were not explained to or approved by Biden. He knew nothing about them, and the people that did may have committed a crime. That's very interesting. I guess you can't just, pardon yourself or other people. That's the president's job, right? Now, we all know about Joe Biden and the presidency. I'm not going to get into that. Like I said, I'm not going to try to delve into conspiracy theories, but I didn't believe the 2020 election was correct. So, anyway, therefore, those on the Unselect Committee who destroyed and deleted all evidence obtained during their 2-year witch hunt of me and many other innocent people should fully understand that they are subject to investigation at the highest level. Now, this is ringing the dinner bell. This is literally saying, hey, I am coming after you. You're going to be investigated. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel are over there like, expect us. Okay, so that's interesting. I don't know that anything's going to come of it. Nothing came of the Epstein list. I mean, it literally looks like a barcode. There's so much stuff blacked out. All right, to continue with the president's words, he says, the fact is they were probably responsible for the documents that were signed on their behalf without the knowledge or consent of the worst president in the history of our country, crooked Joe Biden. So I think that's a whole interesting situation. This auto pen thing is very interesting. So we'll get to more of that. Anyway, so that's what I've got today. I know it's a short little episode. I'm just playing around with the system, seeing if I like it, seeing if I can make it work. Thanks for checking me out. I'm going to try to do this every day. Have a great evening and happy St. Patty's Day. There it is.